you're not always going to win, and sometimes you've got to lose. I would rather get 50% of a deal than 100% of no deal. They want to win every transaction. So there's this huge pressure. Being right isn't always the best thing all the time.
Welcome back to Stellar Minds, folks, the show where we dive deep into the real stories behind today's most driven entrepreneurs. I'm Thomas Scott, your host, and I have an amazing guest with us today, Mr. David Ramos. He is a realtor who primarily works in the greater Tampa Bay market, and we're going to talk about his journey and how he's been able to grow and scale his business using relationships and technology. David, welcome to the show, brother.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for allowing me this platform. I'm super excited to share ideas and insights and hopefully meet some new folks.
That's what it's all about. Give, right? Give. Well, super excited to have you on the show. You know, we talk to a lot of real estate professionals, whether they're investors, wholesalers, I mean, you name it, agents, of course. So I always like to get a different perspective of your journey, kind of how you got started, some of the ups and downs that you've had and how you bounced back and kind of where you are today using technology. And hopefully some of the viewers can take some meat of the conversation here today and be able to digest that and walk away with some practical steps to help them in their journey as well. So let's just go all the way back, man. Let's rewind the clock, David, and let's kind of get to where it all started. I asked you a question in the pre-interview forms there, right? What inspired you to start business, not just any business, but real estate? And you said that you just love people. Was that always the case, or did a certain moment kind of spark that and kind of segue into real estate where you can actually implement that?
Yeah, I honestly think that people are born with a love for people. Some people, go through experiences, I guess, that can exacerbate and make it like more profound, your love, and maybe diminish it a little bit. But the chemistry in my brain has always been there to be an extrovert, to serve others. And I needed a profession that was going to allow me to serve others while at the same time being able to support my family. Coming from an education background, I used to be an assistant principal all over the city of Tampa. I was in a position where I was constantly serving. Sometimes I was seeing the best in people. A lot of times I was seeing the worst. So it was such an eye-opening experience when I got into real estate, and I was able to see the best of everybody almost every day. So that's what really got me into it. A heart for service is what has kept me in it, and I think my passion for helping others is what's allowed me to excel.
Wow, that's amazing. So you were a principal. What grade? What level were you at? High school, middle school, elementary school?
Yeah, so I focused as a teacher in middle school. However, as an administrator, I moved into the high school where the
Mm.
students are a little more mature. They have a lot more real experience. And I found it amazing that as an entrepreneur, I had started as a realtor while I was an administrator. I was able to make real world connections with students that enabled them to see more than just the classroom. They saw the my goal was to help them see that school is just a tool. It's what you do with the tool that's going to ultimately determine your success. And
Mm.
leveraging, your entrepreneurial skills with your social skills and your emotional intelligence. All of those things are really important. So that's where I got my start, and that's where I was able to grow as a realtor and just serving in that capacity.
Man, I love that you just said, emotional intelligence because most schools they're not teaching emotional intelligence. Most people don't even know what the heck that means. You have IQ intelligence, which is it's hard to grow that. Like you're unless you just study, but there's some capacity in the back of the brain that keeps you at a certain level. But emotional intelligence can actually be learned and grown over time. So that's pretty powerful because working on emotions, we're not taught to handle emotions and things like that nature. And I think that's super cool, man. So obviously you're an administrator in a high school. the light bulb goes off. You start to think about real estate and the segue is happening. When you first entered into the business, what surprised you the most about being a realtor?
I think the commissions. I didn't know that you would get these bulk. Well, I knew about it, but I didn't experience. I've never made paychecks. I was really really poor, especially when I started my adulthood. I was proud to say that I was on EBT, I was on WIC, I was on all these government subsidies as I got my footing as I was in college and started my family. But those things are temporary conditions, and I use that as a catapult kind of into who I wanted to be, and it gave me a little bit of sustenance when I had nothing. And once I became an administrator, things got stable. But then when I got into real estate, the biggest eye-opening surprise were that I could work and receive a commission check, because commission checks were outside of my realm of understanding. You know, so it
Yeah,
definitely outside
you
of
now moved into a sales position where you eat what you kill, right? You
correct.
know, you're
But
not
another
leaning
part to
on a check there.
But another part to it was that in the schools, if you have a crappy day and you don't perform, you still get paid. As an another eye-opening thing was not just commissions, but the lack thereof commissions. Because you don't kill, you don't eat. Just like the phrase you just said.
Yep.
So I thought it was eye-opening that your grind is going to be completely. I guess the output is going to be completely predicated on the grind and what you put into it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean anyone who has a W-2 job and then they, move into a more entrepreneurial mindset and goal, it's way different, right? You're depending on yourself, and then you realize, man, I wanted to be my own boss, be in control, and now I'm spending even more time than I would on 9 to 5. And some people like that, but those that
Yeah.
really want true freedom and to have that control of their life, sales is the number one, money making industry. And obviously, real estate has many facets: sales, marketing, communication, processes, systems, all those things kind of wrap up to make someone successful, especially in real estate. So I appreciate you sharing that. Let's talk about some early struggles, because obviously coming in from a corporate style job, moving into real estate, it's a hard mind shift, and obviously getting started, you're learning. Let's talk about some of those early struggles, maybe something that may even have almost broke you. I asked you what was one challenge you faced that taught you something valuable, and you mentioned that you have to spend money to make money. Tell us a little bit about, that philosophy and how that's been truly tested on your side.
Okay, so this is a huge learning experience was growing up with a poor person's mentality. Is you want to kind of save all your money, you want to make sure that you ration it wisely and you don't spend frivolously. You want to have your money accounted for. However, in sales, especially in real estate, you've got to be willing to open your hand and invest in yourself, invest in platforms, invest in processes that are going to yield a return. So in the beginning, I was not paying for any lead gen services. I wasn't paying for any special CRMs. I wasn't doing a lot of the investment that you need to do into a small business.
Hmm.
So after having a successful launch into the career, I retired from education. I was really successful to start, but then I went through like 6 months of no commissions at all.
Mm.
And to be honest, at that point, I had to reflect on what I was doing, what were my processes, how was I, getting ahead, and ultimately, what I learned by being around the right people is that the top performers are investing heavily into their businesses, whether it be through lead gen, whether be through paid content advertisement and creation, whether it be in establishing a CRM that's going to effectively manage the leads and allow you to automate a lot of your business, and even investing into others, allowing folks that, for me as a team leader, allowing my leads to be shared with others and allowing them to walk with me as I go through the process. Those are things that take away from my dollar, but they're seeds that I'm planting into others that should over time, and that I have full confidence over time will yield more success for me and more dollars. So it's just an investment.
Yeah, no, that's great. So when you first started, obviously you were learning about lead gen and, like you said, systems and processes. How were you originally in the beginning acquiring clients, whether it's sellers? How are you getting deals done? Why don't you walk us through kind of how you started and then kind of how you started kick everything into overdrive to where you were getting steady opportunities?
I think it's important when you don't have the funds to do it that you invest time. So one of the things I did was, first of all, I have a huge sphere of influence from working at 7 schools in my career. So I was an administrator at 5 schools. So I was able to uh, really get my name out there by treating people with respect, and I think that carried a lot of positive sentiment for me. So as I came out, I had a huge sphere of influence with folks that were wanting to reciprocate the good gestures that I had shown them when they were kids. Now they're adults and they're in buying age.
Wow.
Other teachers, that I supported, now coming to me and asking me like, "Hey, I know you're in real estate now. Could you help me again?" And
Hmm.
those were all things that were able to, catapult me from obscurity. Nobody knew I was a realtor. Nobody in the real estate world knew I was. To just having a little bit of a name. I went through some hardships. I had some growing pains, but ultimately, my clients were all folks that I had in my sphere. Over time, I started volunteering as a basketball coach at the local YMCA. I
Hmm.
became the HOA president of my community, which got me out there big time with a bunch of folks in a home-centered, platform where the focus is about homes. Another thing that I did that I felt was very important is that I started to farm communities. I started with my own. Every July 4th, I started putting out uh, American flags with my business card on them and my mortgage partner. And that was something that brought me business. And that was something that allowed me to showcase my talent in a local community and kind of propagate my name there. So a lot of the things that in the beginning were free eventually started turning into paid things like the flyers and the American
Hmm.
flags. And then I joined the Chamber of Commerce once I started to generate income. Joining the Chamber of Commerce allowed me to talk to different decision makers and learn how to run a business from other folks who are doing it successfully. I highly advise any realtor that's in the limbo of trying to establish and level up. Join your local realtor board because they're not only going to give you monetary. It's not only going to be a monetary investment with yields, but it may also be a thought tank where you can go and learn how to better run your business, how to automate processes, and where you can put your dollar that's going to get you the most return from other business owners.
Wow, that's amazing. And for anyone listening, you know, most people have this mindset like you said you have to have money to make money, but it almost sounds like at first you were being just creative and reaching out to your circles of influence, so your warm circles, right? People already knew you, that liked you, they trusted you, and you leaned on that, and then you slowly started moving into more of a guerrilla approach, relationship based, which real estate is. So that's super powerful. And then so from creative mindset, slowly getting into flyers. The flags cost some money, your time, but you're joining these groups here, the local chamber. I mean, those are all great, great, great tips for anyone who's looking to get started, but just struggling to get opportunities, to get their name out there. Like you said, get out of obscurity. Super powerful. Was there ever a moment? Because the markets obviously have been up and down. You've been in real estate 4 years, so you kind of came in right when COVID was jumping around, right? Um, let's see, or right after, I would say. So, was there any times that you thought about quitting? And what made you pull back? I'm just curious.
I never thought about quitting. Honestly, I never did. Times got hard, but I know that tough people can outlast tough times. And even at my worst, I never really considered quitting. Uh, my focus has only been on growth, development, and helping to develop others. Um, I'd say the worst time that I've had was in those 6 months I was establishing an agency with the Agency for Persons with Disabilities. So I had my focus split. Um, but even during that time, I really enjoy and have a passion for helping others through real estate. So honestly, I haven't worked since I retired. It's been 3 years since I retired from the school system. I haven't worked a day since then.
I love the mindset. That's awesome, man. Let's talk about skill shift, right? So we got your origin story, amazing segue into real estate from administrator. You're trying to figure out how to get your name out there. You start influencing these warm circles. You start joining local groups. You really are just reaching out to the community, getting your name out there, getting your face out there, kissing babies, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Now you're starting to grow as a realtor. Let's talk about the skill shift because you've already mentioned, using technology processes. Um, I asked, what skills have you had to develop in order to kind of grow and scale this business that you have? And you mentioned, that you've been leveraging software, CRM, AI, things of that nature. So it sounds like you've become a really CRM powerhouse user, right? A lot of folks, and believe it or not, I speak to hundreds of agents, David, and it blows my mind that some of them just aren't even using CRM. I don't know how they're capturing, managing, or nurturing leads and really keeping things efficient, productive, and tight. So I'm real curious, and I'm sure the audience is like, what changed in your business when you actually started using your CRM consistently?
Yeah, I think you can be successful without a CRM if you're not scaling, if you're not getting bigger, getting more business, making a lot of new inroads. Um, you can be without it. However, once you start to reach a certain level, the CRM is going to organize the work and it's going to ensure that your efforts are synergized, so to speak. Because, like, I can do one thing, but my CRM, which I use ReChat right now, my CRM will create drip campaigns. They follow up. They have a database of everyone's birthday, anniversaries, all that stuff, which allows me to be more present for folks that are in my audience
Mhm.
without me literally having to be there and be present, if that makes sense. I think a big part of growth as an agent is learning how to automate your business as much as possible because it can be really hard. Right now, I have like 7 or 8 listings. It's really hard trying to manage all of the things that go with a listing. However, if I have tools at my disposal that can help me better manage and process things, it makes me more efficient and therefore I can complete more work at a higher level. So I definitely would tell you that using the CRM has enabled me to uh, be able to better organize my business. It's allowed me to be more present for past clients as well as current clients and future clients. I'm able to, message more effectively. I'm able to market more effectively. And the folks at ReachAt have been very communicative and responsive in all of the items that we've brought to them. So we're hopeful that we can continue that partnership. But the big thing is that without a CRM, your growth is you can still grow, but it's going to be less of a growth curve, maybe more flat. Using right tools can really just make your growth more parabolic.
Yeah, absolutely. That's powerful. And I appreciate that because you really hit it on the head. I mean, yeah, you can use spreadsheets, you can use notepads and sticky notes. But once you start growing, getting multiple listings, you're having to manage the transaction. You're trying to do follow up, even when you get leads that don't sign up with you. How do you stay in front of them and nurture them? How do you get them back to the table to try to convert that lead? How are you helping and adding value to folks that don't even work with you? Hey, I got contractors. You mentioned that you're going to just go ahead and do it yourself and upgrade and then try to sell. Great. I'm here for you if you need me, but putting them in a system, putting them in a drip, when that time comes, they're going to remember you. And I mean, follow up is 80% of the closing, right? Like, so that's super, super strong. And I'm glad you brought that up because I think a lot of people, especially realtors, need to hear that. And I know realtors that have these systems and they don't even use it. It's just sitting there, and it just blows my mind. So I'm really glad that you're taking advantage of technology. Let me
You know
ask
what's
you this.
the
What's
distinction
that?
is when you don't pay for the CRM, most folks are not using it if they didn't pay for it. If there's no skin in the game, if there's no uh, investment for them, they're not going to use it. I think the fact that I'm paying for it is when it's like, hey, I need to make sure I'm getting my money's worth. You
Yeah,
know.
well, you need an ROI, and they say if you pay, you play, right? So
Mhm.
you gotta get, like you said, some skin in the game. And then you start realizing, like, dang, I need to do this. They got it in the first place because they saw it as a tool to help them. But what we're also seeing is that it's bad time management. They're not adding new habits into their day-to-day routine that will enable them. They just want to stay in this process, wake up, do what they're doing, and they're not really adding another step or at formulating some day-to-day process that's going to enable them to use that and slingshot them, which was the whole point, right? Let me ask you this, because obviously it's apparent in very articulate in what you're stating here. Um, for the people listening, what type of mind shift do you think separates consistent producers from those who actually burn out?
I think one of the big things that people burn out is because I think they want to win every transaction. So there's this huge pressure to win at every interaction, every transaction, every everything that has to do with real estate. They make it into a win loss, and I think there should be a mental shift instead of proficiency, maybe progress. I would rather get 50% of a deal than 100% of no deal. And I think being willing to lose meaning that you don't get the best part of things at times. I think people should be more okay with that because for instance there was an issue with a client that I've sold multiple homes with, and for some reason he didn't want to pay the transaction fee. Now the transaction fee was at $695 at the time with the brokerage I was with, and he's already had two contracts signed saying that he's gonna pay $695. However, he's signing contracts because he trusts me. So he's not looking over the contracts because we've worked together and we've got a way of work that he trusts that what I send him is going to be vetted and I'm looking out for his best interests. You can't pay money for that type of trust. When you have that type of trust with somebody, it's a deeper than that superficial client realtor relationship. And honestly, as a realtor, that should be the apex of your service is trust from your clients. So, given that he wasn't happy about it, given that he felt that, this was an erroneous charge, I took the loss, like, you know what? I apologize that I didn't communicate this effectively, even though he signed two BBAs about it. I apologize that this may have caused a breach in our trust. But here's what I'll do: I am going to cover that $695 fee. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it another second. If that will that allow you to continue to trust me like you have? Because I don't want to lose the trust. I'm basically paying $700 to keep your trust. And obviously he articulated that he appreciated it, that he trusts me, and that it was something that he felt I should have done. So you're not always going to win, and sometimes you've got to lose. Like I lost then, even though everything, all the data, all the contracts, everything else says that I was right. Being right isn't always the best thing all the time.
Hmm.
So I think that's a shift that folks should definitely take because this is a people industry. Having a high emotional intelligence and being able to take a loss are really important things that you should be able to do as a realtor.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, you got. Do you want a little bit of something or zero of something, and
Correct.
doing the right thing, keeping them in this business? If you build that trust and they come back to you, you're just going to continue to build referral, leads and continue to get business where you don't have to spend money to get new clients and jump back in that hamster wheel. So you doing little small things like that can help you prevent the burnout because you're not out there working so hard to get new clients. you're treating the clients that you have well, and then you can kind of step back and just over the years start letting your book of business be more referrals, which makes a lot of sense. Um, let's jump into a part of this that I'm excited to talk to you about. We're going to spend a little bit of time here. Obviously, I'm a real estate professional, 5 years. I wholesale, I invest. I'm a land acquisition guy. When I first started, my first year, I knew nothing about real estate. I didn't know what the heck the contract said. I didn't have anyone really teach me. But I jumped in head first and I started using systems because I had a background with technology. I had a video production marketing company. So I use CRMs and automations, obviously, to do, like you said, manage things and just take a little bit off my plates and let systems and processes handle some of those low level tasks, right? Um, my first year, I did 37 transactions, spent no money on marketing. I leveraged other wholesalers' deals. I had a buyer list and I used my system to basically help manage all of that, send out emails, get things rolling. So it was a huge part of my success, 6 figures, and it grew exponentially over the years. So I want to talk about systems and strategies because it sounds like you really have kind of dialed in some of this technology. um, let's dive into AI because a lot of people obviously are talking about AI. It's everywhere, but people don't really know what it is, let alone how to leverage it, monetize it, be more efficient, productive in their operations. And there's a lots of different ways. When I say AI, you might be thinking ChatGPT. I'm thinking AI agents. People are thinking other things. So let's dive into that. I'm curious, what are some of the specific tools or automations that you're using weekly? If so, and is AI kind of built into that process?
So AI is really interesting because it represents a revolution. Um, there was 4 other revolutions. There was the computer revolution. There was the dot-com revolution, and this is the latest one. But in fairness, in my opinion, I think it's going to be the most profound.
Hmm.
It's going to revolutionize the way things are done, and I don't think that AI is going to replace realtors. I think that AI is going to replace realtors that don't use AI, if that makes any sense. So what I would tell you is that uh, I am in the beginning phases of using AI because most people have only used it over the last year. However, in that year, I've gone to several trainings and I've incorporated into several of the things that I've got going on. I currently use ChatGPT. I have the paid subscription, which is like a foundational piece of your AI tools. However, I've moved on to using other things. There's a site called Gamma, which is huge in terms of saving time and being more efficient. You put the elements that you want in there, and then it'll produce a whole presentation for you in a minutes. Something that traditionally would have taken us hours is now taking us minutes.
Or weeks,
Um,
right?
or weeks, yeah, even weeks.
Hmm.
Um, I have another gentleman that works at my brokerage. His name is Emilio Estevez, and he has a program called Yaya, which we are looking to implement it. It's not fully implemented within our team. However, it's an amazing AI which does voice automations for folks that call you. He's a very high producing broker in New York. He's a team leader, and now he's out here selling real estate as well and trying to grow in this area. And that's one of the things that he's really marketed, and it's allowed him to be more financially free now that he's got this yaya. And the fact that other folks are using it allows them to leverage their time, to do other things instead of doing the pre-qualification, the mundane questions like where are you looking to buy, just those introductory questions that can take a lot of
Qualifying.
time.
Yep.
Yeah, the qualifying questions, exactly. So those are some of the things that we're using. We use AI in almost all of the pricing and all of the marketing, both social media and text, print marketing. We run it through AI to make sure that we've got the best mind on it. Because the AI is basically PhD level expertise in any area that you're looking at. So you know AI is woven throughout our entire business model, And now that we've got an AI CRM through our brokerage, we currently use Rechat. However, our brokerage has been designing a proprietary AI RM. And as that develops, we may look at joining that. But right now, we're really happy with Rechat, and that's what we're with. But AI is going to be the one thing that's going to separate folks from pre AI, to the survivors of post AI. So you really got to leverage it in your business and be intentional about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, I own an AI agency, and we're coming on 1 year. So for 2 years now, I've been building very intricate systems, but we focus mainly on AI agents. So I run my whole real estate company, no lie, with AI agents. So just like you're talking about, yeah, yeah. We build voice AI that answers inbound calls, inquiries, conversational AI, texting back and forth, and it's built into the system that actually uses logic and reason to move clients through sales pipelines, and obviously includes the follow-up, things of that nature, database reactivation. It's all woven into it. And so we save, 10, 15 hours a week as well as our clients based on feedback. So what we're seeing as far as AI, it's the only technology that I'm aware of that can save you the amount of time that that we're essentially would have had to do. So it's saving you time and it's helping you become more efficient, productive. So these are like employees, right, that are doing all of these low level tasks that will free up the operator to really focus on those high level conversations, negotiating, showing properties, right, and building businesses. It's just so powerful. And I'm really glad to see that, you guys are at least investigating and starting to use these things, because at right now, when we look at AI and the adoption of AI with any type of innovation, you talked about the .com, right? Businesses back then was like, I'm not going to use a website. I don't need one of those. They push back, right? They don't understand it. It's too much. They don't want to learn anything new. It's natural for the brain just to be comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And so you then all of a sudden, 2, 3, 4 years later, 5 years later, oh my God, we need to get a website guy to build one of these website thingies. And so that's how AI is right now. Right now, it's you have the innovation, even though AI has been around since actually the 50s, 40s, and 50s. The first chatbot was built in the 60s. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Was
Um,
not.
so it's been around for a while, but obviously with technology, NVIDIA chips and all these computing um, elements, it has brought it to mainline audiences, right? And so for the last year or so, 2 years, people have been using ChatGPT and all these things. So I'm really seeing right now people are starting to slowly adopt. I think over the next 12 to 24 months, people are going to start going, okay, maybe I will look into this and see how I can use and implement it. So those who are getting and see and are having the foresight to really understand where AI is going and jumping on now and leveraging it before the mass does, they're going to have a lot more market share. They're going to be able to start learning how to use these systems before their competition. And like you said, it's not here to replace them, but those realtors and those brokerages that are using it will replace them. Because I say it's like trying to race Flash, the DC comic character, right? Like there's no
Mhm.
way you're going to win unless, well, you have some powers too. And so the
Correct.
game is leveled up, my friend, and I'm so
Yeah.
glad to hear that you're using AI right now. Talk to me about your day to day, because obviously new technology things are coming into play. You got to find ways and where you can interject it into your business and your processes. How do you structure your day or your week to prioritize high impact activities? Because I think a lot of agents struggle with this. So I'm just curious, how you're structuring these high priority tasks for yourself.
Yeah, I make it a point to be consistent. Whatever you do, whatever you're doing, as long as you're consistent with it, it will yield results. I think it's important that we start our days with calls. I have I have a daily goal of making 100 calls. 100 calls can be uh, prospecting, it can be following up on other deals. But every day, I need to make at least 100 calls, and a vast majority are before noon. Reason being is I like to make my calls in the morning and set my appointments for later on in the day. Um, I'm the type that I like to do the stuff here and now. So if I talk to somebody in the morning, I'm either going to be setting up an appointment for later that day or for tomorrow in the afternoon the next day. It's really important that the mornings be spent prospecting and making calls. Reason being, unless you have work, unless you've got to go do showings, unless you've got to go do a podcast or something like that, you know. So I would tell you that the beginning of the week is where I'm putting the most time into the appointments, into making my calls, into following up. Because over the weekend, I'm doing open houses, I'm doing showings and all that. So on Mondays is a day that's really, really important that you kind of tie up the loose ends from the weekend and get a strong foundation for what you're going to be doing that week. I usually don't set appointments on Monday because Monday is my administrative day.
Hmm.
And it's really important that you have a day where you can not have at least a large block of no appointments so that you can be able to organize yourself and that way you can be able to put all the things into your CRM and be able to set appointments for later. But there has to be a sacred time. And for me, my sacred time is Mondays in the AM. So at least 1 or 2 o'clock. I usually don't do anything in the no appointments Monday
Yeah.
mornings.
So time management seems to be something that you're a strong um, believer in, obviously. And it's so important because a lot of agents may just wake up, all right, what am I going to do today? And they're scrambled. And if you're not focused, then you can easily be distracted, right? So you're over here and you're looking on Facebook, you're doing things, and you wonder why you're not in the position that you want to be. It's because you don't have any structure. And it sounds like you've really dialed in time management, and then structure, prioritize tasks based on the part of the day. And I love that you're doing 100 calls, man. That's a lot of people are so scared to pick up a phone, let alone, 100 calls. Um, I'm really excited about AI too, because it's going to be able to help, do that. Now, a lot of people say, well, I don't want AI calling people. And I want to be that personal touch. And I think that's true still to this day. The human element's going to be key. But as we grow into this technology and everyone starts to be immersed in it, do you think that like supplementing your outreach with an AI voice that can sound natural, have those conversations, whether it's maybe someone who filled out a form who wanted to potentially hire you as a listing or a buyer? Do you think having AI answer or make calls would be something you'd be implementing into the future?
Yeah, that's what the software Yaya does, and that is something that we are plans to implement. I think anything that's going to allow you to be more places at the same time is going to be worth your investment. I definitely
Cloning
think that
yourself.
yeah, it's like making duplicity. You know, you've
Yeah.
got so many of
A
you.
hundred Davids running around. That's
You
nice.
don't want that. You know, the world doesn't want but yeah, I absolutely see a tremendous value in having things automated, and I would definitely recommend anybody that's just starting. I would implement these tools as soon as you start, and get uh, a way of work that is foundationally implementing AI and any other process or tool that's going to allow you to propagate yourself and be more places at once.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it's all about, cloning yourself. We built
Mhm.
systems where we're doing outreach, we're selling deals, disposition AI, it's reaching out to buyers, having full on conversations with them. When they want to go see it, then it contacts, either an agent or in my case, someone who's going to wholesale a deal. And it's just been insane, since we started building these systems. And you're absolutely right, man. If you can clone yourself, why not, right? And so obviously 100 calls, now you have AI taking a portion of that. I mean, where would you spend that time at, right? Now you're gonna be able to spend that time with more high level conversations, right? You're going to be able to
Absolutely.
actually put into business development. Now you have bandwidth to actually think and breathe for a sec about how you're going to, support your family better and but take off stress. We don't want to grow and if it's going to put more stress on us. That's the thing, that the old traditional way of scaling and growing is, oh man, if I get more leads, I need to hire more people to take the calls. Now I need more a transaction coordinator. I need a lead manager. I need a dispo person. You have all these things that go in your mind when you want to grow, and it just prevents you. But now, for the first time ever, AI agents can literally do a majority of that, and you can free yourself up to really just take a step back, reflect, and then put in play, measures to grow and scale. So that's super super awesome, man. Obviously, in business, you know, uh, you're gonna botch some things. It's never 100% track record. I don't know how many transactions you've done. I don't know if you want to share what you've done in the last 4 years, but I'm sure there's been some balls dropped, right? Tell us what's one deal, man. Let's just get real. What's one deal that you totally, botched or lost, and what was the takeaway, and how did you learn from that?
A deal that I botched or lost. Okay, there was a lead that I received one time from my mentor Daniel Perez, and he said this is a hot lead, so call them. So I did call them that night. In the morning, they said tomorrow we're going to be doing it. We're going to be, looking for the houses. We need to go tomorrow. So I was prepared to go the next day, but it was more like in the afternoon, early evening. So I didn't call in the morning, and I called in the afternoon expecting to have, some showings that evening. And she's like, oh no, we just bought the house this morning. Like, you did what? How is it possible? Last night you didn't have anything. How'd you, ink a deal this morning? And she's like, well, we woke up early. We told you we were ready to sell. You didn't give us a call. So we went and did it ourselves. And then they went into a new builder and signed the paperwork that morning.
Mm.
So one of the biggest takeaways from that was that you need to be hyper focused and aggressive in dealing with the leads, that whether they come from Realtor or they come from sphere of influence, or your colleagues. When you get a lead, you've got to call early and often, and make sure that you are not allowing those leads to squander because of your inactivity and lack of responsiveness.
Speed to lead, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Speed to lead. And that's another thing that AI can help with. As an agent, when I say we, I'm not an agent, and I know this to be true, but even as a business owner, when you're spending a lot of time and energy trying to fill up that pipeline with opportunities, it's impossible, especially if you're a small team or a solo, guy, to be able to answer calls and respond to people. If you're at a showing, you're on a call, unless you're hiring a VA or you're spending money on other services that can help, capture that opportunity. So AI, not only is it going to save you time, take stuff off your plate, but now it's going to prevent you from shooting yourself in the foot and missing opportunities. So, for our clients and myself, if a call comes in and we're unavailable, guess what? The AI is able to pick up, qualify them, figure out what they're trying to do, and then schedule an appointment with them right on the phone. And now you wake up in the morning, you might have a scheduled appointment there for you, right? So the takeaway there is, I mean, sometimes you gotta be quick and basically be there for a client when they need you. Because I don't know, that could have been in your world 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 grand, you know, gone.
Correct.
So AI will be able to help boost that top line and your bottom line revenue and keep the pipeline full. And that's all people want. They don't care if it's you or anything. They just want communication, and they want to know that you've responded and what's the next steps. And this is why I love AI, as you could tell. It's just a huge, huge game changer. But that was that was great, man. Thanks for sharing, dude. So
Yeah,
for the folks listening, speed the lead, be there when your clients need you. Um,
absolutely.
what's one thing that you now refuse to compromise on? Like, what's a non-negotiable that you now have in place that maybe you didn't have before? and maybe just quickly talk about how that kind of came about.
That is a tough question. A non-negotiable because I think one of my strong qualities is my uh, go with the flowness. Like I can adapt and overcome. But I guess there are some things that I've become more and more stringent about. I guess commission is one of the obvious ones that comes to mind. But even then, because I have this notion that I don't really care. I feel like when you do the right things, you don't have to worry about money. But more and more, I've been holding fast to the 3% commission, just because I know that I offer certified tangible value. Tomorrow, I'm going to Fort Myers, which is about 2 hours away from me, because there's an older seller that needs support in getting their home ready to be listed. She doesn't
Mm,
have the physical or the financial means to make it happen. So tomorrow, I made it a family thing. Tonight, actually, we're going to Fort Myers, and then tomorrow morning, my family will be at the hotel, and I'm going to go with this family, and I'm going to clear out their backyard and just help them. Real estate is not just about the dollars. For me, it's also about making my time here, being a light. I always say I like to be the light. Um, so for my clients, I tend to, sometimes do a little more than I need to, but it's not necessarily for them. It's more for me, because I feel like I'm showing strength and I'm reflecting God's light in their life by being who I am. Commissions, I feel now more than when I started, I'm worth the 3%. But I don't really have a hard line on that. And to answer your question, outside of acting with integrity and operating in the light, I don't really have too many hard line approaches about anything, I guess to answer your question, I will not compromise my integrity and values for a deal.
mm.
And I think that's a hard line that all people should have if they want to be valued, respected, and have a reputation that fosters people coming to you in their desperate times or times of need.
So it sounds like really your inner principles are just non-negotiable, even when it comes to maybe one of the biggest deals that you would ever come upon. You're not going to set aside that, and that's super powerful. And it sounds like you're a man of faith as well, so that's probably
And
helped you, in your growth as well. Um, let's pretend that David, you go back in time, all right, when you first started. And for anyone who's probably listening or they're new and they're getting into it, what advice would you give yourself, your younger self, and to someone who's starting, um, mindset, just whatever you think would be valuable? Would you change anything? What would you change if you were to go back in the future and talk to yourself or someone starting?
yeah, I think I would have to start. I would have placed a better emphasis on using my CRM. That would have been the first thing. Use your CRM as soon as you start. Find one, pay for it. Um, Another important thing that I would have done is I would have, been more open-handed in terms of paying for resources and tools. I think, being a close-handed realtor, you're not going to get as much as somebody who's willing to invest into themselves. Um, and I think the most important thing I would have told myself back then was to get a high quality mentor. I think my growth curve has been slower than others just because I refused to pay for someone who was going to teach me the right way to be a realtor. And looking back, I regret that. I wish I would have found the best realtor or found a realtor that whose values aligned with mine
Mm.
and worked alongside them and enabled them to pour into me. Because everything I got pretty much from my own experience and through digging and making a lot of mistakes. So I feel like I probably would have made a lot less mistakes if I'd have had the right guidance from the jump.
You're not the only one who's mentioned that. And it's so powerful, especially as a man. We have pride and we have ego and we just want to kind of do it. But your ability to come out and say, "Hey, man, I wish I would have had some help," and someone that could have expedited that whole learning curve is huge, right?
Mhm.
Do you have someone right now that you're being mentored by? And where would someone find a mentor, in your opinion?
Yeah, so I do have someone that is mentoring me. The guy that's pretty much been with me my whole career. His name is Daniel Perez. And he is one of those follow my leaders. He's not super vocal, and he's not like gonna sit down with you and go through a 10 page listing report, but he does lead through his example. And if you ever need help, he's always going to be there for me to help. um, to be honest, uh, I am still looking for a $1 million realtor that I can, kind of attach to and kind of learn from. Because no matter where you are in the spectrum of your career, you can always learn more, and you are never going to be the all-knowing oracle of real estate. You can always, unless your name is Warren Buffett. But I'm not Warren Buffett, and I would say that no, I don't necessarily have that $1 million realtor that I'd love to leverage in the future. But I'm always willing, and hopefully, if you're out there, please come find me. I'm
You
just
hear
kidding.
it.
You heard it
David's
here.
David's there. So when you talk about mentorship, I mean, would you pay for a mentor? Is this someone that would you're hoping just to take under your wing? I mean, what about like masterminds, things like that? How do you feel about those?
Yeah, I would definitely, like I'm saying, I would definitely pay for it because there's so much. I work on feeling, and there's some people you get a good feeling, and that because of their past record of success, that you can confidently learn from them and grow. So yeah, if I had the right people, I think I would pay. Where I'd like to be is I'd like to process 50 transactions a year. And Daniel has processed 50 transactions a year, but that's like my next step up. Um, so yeah, I would to answer your question, yeah, I definitely would pay for it, and I definitely think it's valuable. Even as a more experienced realtor with a good book of business, I think you can still learn and benefit from having someone that's guiding you.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I had someone that brought me under their wing to kind of start a little bit, and I was very grateful. And somehow we parted ways. He just fell off, and I was like, "Whoa, dude, what happened? Where are you?" And I'd invested in myself, and then my second year in real estate, now I'm doing $350,000 plus. I'm only working 20 hours a week. It was like this amazing transition that happened financially in my life and increased the quality of life. I said, man, I need to learn more stuff though, right? Like, you're just offering cash deals, to homeowners. Sometimes that's not what they need. And by listening to their needs and learning new ways to convert and offer different maybe programs or ways to get the deal done, I ended up joining a mastermind in Tampa, the Collective Genius, and I think it was like 20 grand. I had never invested that type of money in myself. I would buy books and audio stuff and listen to podcasts, but being a part of a community with folks that were way beyond me, further down the road, experience wise, I learned a lot. I learned how to do novations. I spent another 5 grand on how to learn novations, and I've made multiple ROI off of just learning that. So for anyone who is watching, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. I mean, don't be afraid to continue learning. Eric Hoffer says that learners will inherit the earth, while the learned will find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists, right?
Mm,
If we continue to just do the same old, the world ain't waiting around for you, brother. It ain't waiting around. You got to
true.
stay with the times. Um, let's talk, and we got, a handful of minutes here, and we're kind of coming to the home stretch. So I really want to, add the fuel to the fire here in terms of value. You had mentioned that you don't believe AI would replace agents, but agents not using AI, are at risk. What are some AI tools? I mean, you've mentioned yeah on some of these CRM systems, but if an agent's coming in, they're brand new. Okay, you mentioned getting a CRM, getting a mentor. Is there anything that maybe could help them as well? I mean, ChatGPT is kind of a baseline for everyone. Are you using ChatGPT for creating instant CMAs right now?
Yeah,
Have you done that?
yeah, but I don't think that that is a reliable. That well, put it this way: it's not that it's not reliable. It shouldn't be the only tool that you're using. I like to pull from diverse sources, and when I'm completing a CMA, we'll do the traditional CMA through Stellar. We also go Realtor, Homes.com, Zillow, and then we get their ranges as well, and then we'll put it through AI. The reason that we're using all of these things is because I'm not going to go to a listing appointment and give them a price that they need to sell their house. I'll give them sales strategies, and then feed them the data, and then I'll help them come to a consensus on the price that they should list. If it's a little higher, closer to its actual value, because right now you've got to list below actual value. Um, you know the sales strategy is going to be really defined in terms of price reductions, in terms of what we're going to offer them, and when we need to look at different, creative options to get more buyers into the room. So I think another important facet of Chat GPT is not just with the CRMs, but it's in setting up those assistants. If you look on the left side of Chat GPT, you can have different jobs and different roles, different searches that you can use to better inform your business decisions. And I think ChatGPT is not Google. Most folks using it are using it as Google, but Google doesn't make inferences. Google doesn't reason, at least the traditional Google. But the ChatGPT is so much more than that. It's so much more than just recalling information. If you ask it to perform if you want a marketing person, you can put that in your chat. If you want someone that can create social media ideas, you can do that. So there's so many different ways that you can leverage Chat GPT to get you ahead. um, it's not a Google, it's not a recall thing. You've got to really use it the right way. So I would tell new agents, definitely get the paid subscription to Chat GPT, and then try to work all the functionalities that it has, because it can inform you at a PhD level. So, if you want marketing, PhD level marketing. You want social media out, PhD level social media support, and it can do it for a range of different subjects, and it can offer support in basically anything that has to do with real estate.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you mentioned that because I speak at events all over and I educate real estate professionals on AI, how to leverage it in their business. But like you said, it's not Google. And so we put together a lot of free resources to help agents utilize that. At the end of the day, technology is going to improve. There's always going to be these new tools, but the baseline of all of this is learning how to prompt. And I think that's what you're alluding to,
Oh,
turning
yeah.
ChatGPT into a trusted advisor, a marketing director, an analyst, right? A content creator. Hell, we even created a bot for helping sharpen skills. It's called Role Player AI. You literally
Mm.
call in and you can role play with them as a seller, as a buyer, and it goes through. And at the end of it, it ranks how well you did. It tells you what you could have improved on. And it's based on just some of the top producers, psychology, neuroscience, sales skills, Grant Cardone, Chris Voss. We all threw it in there. And so people can start using AI in terms of that. Right now it's like you don't know what you don't know, and so we love to expose agents and real estate professionals to how cheat ChatGPT can be used. Are you aware that Zillow is now the only real estate app within ChatGPT? Did you know that?
No, no, I was not aware of that. No.
Yeah, so why is that powerful, right? So if you were talking about Google, when people are searching for homes on Google, they write in the chat differently, right? Like if you're looking for a restaurant, your restaurant's near me, right? If I was to ask you, David, where restaurants are, I wouldn't say, David, restaurants near me. I'll say, hey, David, like, do you know of any really good restaurants in my area around over here? Conversational wise, right? So there's 80 million people that are using ChatGPT on a monthly basis, and it's growing. 20% of that is using ChatGPT now to search for properties. So as a buyer, I'm coming to ChatGPT and I'm saying, I'm looking for a 3 bedroom, 2 bed house with a pool, couple, car garage. I would like a really big yard with a fence, and I want it to be by the Tampa Stadium. The way I just explained that is conversational AI, and it's different than when you were listing, or searching for on Google, right? SEO purposes. And so what that means is ChatGPT with Zillow living in it, it is not going to look at any data or anything out there on the web. It's going to bypass your website. It's going to bypass blogs, anything you've spent a lot of time on to get people to see your property. It's bypassing that, and it's only using Zillow now within that app. So we actually provide a free PDF playbook, and it teaches you how to rank higher in ChatGPT, using what we call, it's called AIO, so artificial intelligent optimization. Whereas you had SEO for Google, right? Search engine optimization. So we teach agents how to do this, and we provide a custom custom GBT. Sorry, I'm getting tongue tied. So all they do, David, all you got to do, brother, is you take your listing description, and now you go in and you put in the description, and it will rewrite it so that way it's AIO format. So that way your listings start to populate, and you get higher ranked within ChatGPT. You will outrank another listing agent who has the same comparable property because you used the way ChatGPT looks in searches and queries. So it's pretty empower. So if anyone's listening, sorry, it's a little plug there. You can find me on Instagram at boom.with.ai. I'll send it to you. It's totally free. I think anyone who's looking to get a little bit of an edge, that's a powerful tool. So the very fact you're using that is still amazing. And once again, I want to add value here, so wanted to throw that in there as well. Um, I think we're about finished here, my friend. I have what I like to call a lightning round, and this is kind of a fun part for us. I'm just gonna ask one question real quickly, and I want you to respond quickly. Let's have some fun with it. All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, what's one tool you can't live without?
Stellar.
Favorite part of your job?
Closing deals.
What's the least favorite part of your job?
Uh, when I have to tell buyers that their offer wasn't accepted.
Cold calling or door knocking?
I prefer door knocking for sure.
What's the best closing gift you've ever given or received?
I received closing gifts like socks. There were realtor socks. I received books for closings. I got a wallet for closing. Um, the best gift I've ever given is a Dyson vacuum.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
Dyson vacuum. Yeah.
What's the craziest thing that's ever happened at a showing?
There was a shootout. There was a shootout at a showing that I had in Suitcase City, Tampa. We were at the house doing the showing. We were in the front, and behind the house there was a shootout. And then they got in the car, and the car screeching. And then the people that were in the car that I guess did the shooting drove right past us in the front of the house. I kid you not. And the guy still bought the house.
Wow. And he bought the house.
He
All
still
right.
bought the house. I would
I
have
can
been like,
imagine.
Jesus.
I could imagine what you're thinking. You're like, all right, we're almost there, and then pop, 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 and you're like, oh hell no! Like,
You still
does
want to live
anybody?
here? Absolutely. I want to live
That's awesome. Well,
here.
David, look, you've been super generous with your time. We really appreciate all the value you presented today. Super, super helpful, insightful. For anyone who's out there who might want to connect with you, get in touch with you, whether it's a seller, a buyer, or just someone who maybe wants to reach out and pick your brain a little bit, where can they find you?
Oh, of course. My office is located at 6735 Causeway Boulevard in Tampa, 33619. My phone number is 813-869-0831. And you can reach me via email at contact@ramosfiles.com.
And I assume you're all over social media.
Definitely. Realtor Ramos is on Instagram. I'm just David Ramos on Facebook. Um, TBLG Realtor Ramos on TikTok.
Awesome, man. That's phenomenal. Well, there you have it, folks. So you want to get in touch with David, pick his brain a little bit, or maybe add some value. Maybe you're that $1 million agent that would love to take him under your wing. You know how to reach him. David, thank you again. And for all of those that are listening, if you have an incredible story, you're an entrepreneur, and you would love to come on the show, you can reach us at Thomas at Stellar AI Solutions. And for now, folks, I hope you have a wonderful, blessed day. And remember, keep it stellar. We'll see you next time.